Hi everyone, we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about an important starting point for course design. So when you're first thinking about designing or redesigning your course, it's important to consider the information you have about the many factors that might go into that course design and what you know about your teaching and learning environment that you'll be working in.
Great, thank you, Leah. Yeah, so the first one we're going to talk about is going to be the context of the course. So what we mean by the context of the course in respect to the situational factors, we're going to think about where exactly is your course placed within within your curriculum. So within that, your 10-week course, within the wider curriculum within your department. We're going to think about considerations such as, are you going to be teaching 25 students? Are you going to be teaching 200 students? Whichever way it goes, there's going to be a number of pedagogical considerations attached to it. So that's one example when we're thinking about the context of the course.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Paul. That spoke really nicely to those kind of immediate concerns in designing a course. Something else you'll want to consider are those higher level concerns, those things that exist kind of at the university level or even beyond. Things like accreditation standards or professional standards for your field or the discipline that your students might be entering after they leave your course. You might also want to think about things like strategic goals for your institution. For example, at UCSD, one of their strategic goals is to cultivate a learning environment that facilitates open and productive dialogue. So what you might want to ask yourself is, what can I do in my course to support that overall goal that the university has identified as something that all students should learn during their time here?
And Leah, I love what you mentioned about in respect to the students and equity, diversity and inclusion, because this really fits into this next kind of component here. And what we're going to be thinking about here is the physical environment in which you're going to be teaching in. So let's talk about classrooms for a second at UCSD. We have a colleague of ours who was teaching a 350 person class over in Galbraith Hall. Now, that particular instructor really wanted collaborative, you mentioned collaborative learning. Right? He wanted his students to kind of work together in a collaborative way to try to drive their knowledge and understanding of the material. However, the environment was challenging to do that. And so he came up with a number of different kind of pedagogical challenges that the environment restricted him to, and he kind of thought creatively about how he could allow his students to have that experience. He ended up landing in this particular case on a number of different technologies to make that happen. But when we're thinking about environment, this is kind of one of the considerations as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also when we're thinking about our learning environment, we want to think about the learners that are going to inhabit that environment, so our students. What experiences are they bringing into our classroom that might affect how we design our course equally? What experiences do we want them to take away from our course that they might go on to use in their professional lives or in their further coursework at the institution? And also, as Paul was speaking to a little bit just now, am I creating a course that is going to be as accessible as possible to all my students, even those who might have commitments outside the classroom, such as working or acting as a caregiver?
Yeah, absolutely, Leah. And the point here also is that as we're thinking about our students, and our colleagues here at UCSD are extremely student-centered when they're thinking about their design, this is an area that we found has always maybe been a bit of a challenge, and that's thinking about yourselves. Thinking about what other obligations do you have that sits alongside your teaching. So is it the case that you have let's think about it, you have a research deadline, maybe a grant proposal, and that is coming in at week 4, just at the exact moment when of the particular quarter, when a particularly challenging topic is being discussed, something that your students have historically struggled with. So are you going to place the two things side by side? So it's thinking kind of in a bigger picture, not only about you as an instructor in your classroom, but the other things that you've got kind of going on from an institutional level, from a personal level. There's lots of different considerations here.
Great.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much for your attention. If you're ready to start thinking about how all of these situational factors might affect the context of your own course and how you design that course, we have some further information just at the link here.